Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. You are watching the Food for Thought series with Dr. MJ. We are back and we are about to conquer the letter N. Who do we have for the letter N? Who are we featuring today?
Ngũgĩ wa Thiong'o.
Ngũgĩ. Okay, so this is another first name basis. We're changing the rules.
Ngũgĩ.
I'm unfamiliar, so tell me everything we need to know, the quote that you selected as well.
He's a Kenyan writer who's been writing for a very, very long time. He was banished from his country because of what he wrote, because he critiqued the corrupt governments basically that came after colonialism, but he also writes about colonialism and how colonialism has this specific book, a lot of it is actually about language, how language is a key part of colonialism.
Okay.
So he's a novelist. I have a ton of his books, and he's an essayist. He wrote his biography, and he's a professor as well. So again, he got exiled from his country because of what he wrote. He made plays. He was basically trying to rally the population to revolt against, the corrupt governments that were. We'll go back to Galify, the president that comes after colonialism, who just wants to thief from the country. So there were several presidents in Ngũgĩ's time, but he also critiques the British colonizers and writes about his own experience of living during colonialism, just to show, again, we have very many living people around us who survived colonialism. Yeah. So in this book, he's thinking about his own role as an African writer. And, I brought up the Heinemann Writer series before, and he's one of those people who wrote in the Heinemann series and ultimately was like, what are we doing as African writers, writing in European languages, in English, French, Portuguese, and translating our realities to these people? Mm-hmm. How does that not further colonialism? Like, why are we not writing in our own languages to our own people? We're giving more. So they've already taken our land, they've already taken our minerals. Now they're taking our stories, our histories, and they're the ones who benefit. We lose. We're enriching English, we're enriching French, but what happens to Gikuyu? So he made the decision to stop writing in English and to start writing in Gikuyu.
That's beautiful.
Gikuyu, yeah. And so the sections I'm taking are from this essay where he's reflecting on the role of language in colonialism. Okay. So he says, imperialism, led by the USA, presents the struggling people of the earth and all those calling for peace, democracy, and socialism with the ultimatum: accept theft or death. The oppressed and the exploited of the earth maintain their defiance, liberty from theft. But the biggest weapon wielding and actually daily unleashed by imperialism against the collective defiance is the cultural bomb. The effect of the cultural bomb is to annihilate a people's belief in their names, in their languages, in their environment, in their heritage of struggle, in their unity, in their capacities, and ultimately in themselves. Possibilities of triumph or victory are seen as remote, ridiculous dreams. The intended results are despair, despondency, and a collective death wish. So that's one section.
That is a section.
And then
you had me at theft or death, except theft or death. From there onward, you could have said anything in the world, and I was already like, I know where you're going with this. I know what you're saying. So, why did you pick this quote? I mean, it's definitely resonating as an immigrant, or I guess someone who was brought to this country or came to this country. But why did you select this?
I mean, now that we're talking, if we can thread it right back to what Audre Lorde said, right? So they're saying essentially, first you come with the gun and we're literally going to take your country from you or you will die. So and they killed a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
And during colonialism, and if who they didn't kill, they enslaved as laborers. But at a certain point, that approach doesn't, you don't need to do it anymore. You can also control people in other ways, right? So make your education system English, force people to learn your language, your ways of thinking, identify with you. You cultivate a class, the petite bourgeoisie, to convince everybody that we all want to be like these people who've invaded us. And so the only choices are either you allow us to keep taking from you or we will kill you, right?
Yeah.
So, and that can be said about Canada and its colonial relationships to the Indigenous people here, right? Like you either accept that you're now Canadian and Canada, you know, and speak English and, you know, all of that, and forget your culture, forget your language, forget how you think society should be. And then, you know, as he says here, and we're all kind of invited to think that anything else is an impossible dream, right? That it's not, that that you're ridiculous if you think you can change any of it. And then, you know, with that, Audre Lorde's piece. So you're invited to be afraid, silence yourself, go small, don't dream, you know? And so I like it because he's saying, nope, there's other possibilities. First, let's recognize what we're in. And then second, hey, wait a minute, I myself as a writer can stop writing in English and start changing who I'm addressing, who I am speaking to, right? Who, you know, not allow my work to be monetized for this theft, right? So
I don't know if this is, you know, I believe that this relates to what he's talking about, but I think I've told you the story before, but our family, when we came here, they asked us to change our name, our last name, to Brown.
Excuse me? Lillian Brown.
Lillian Brown, can you imagine?
Right.
But as you know, traditionally, every single one of us has a different last name in our family. So they thought that was mind-blowing. Whoa, why? You can't do that. That's gonna, you know, that's gonna ruin how you're addressed in school and in the workplace and stuff. My parents put their foot down. They're like, no way, not today. We are not doing that. We are not gonna be the Browns. And so when I watched, I think there's a cartoon out there called The Browns or Cleveland Browns or something rather, and I laugh hysterically because that could have been us if we just accepted the theft. Like, if we, you see what I mean? And so that's why I said, you know, as an immigrant, when I hear this, even though, you know, it's specifically about colonialism and stuff, like I in present day, in my lifetime, I've had these experiences that kind of, you know, remind me of what he's speaking about. And so it's and we hear about that. I think that there was a lot of people in the last couple of years that kind of said, no, I'm going to use my name, I'm going to do, you know, things my way, I'm going to write in my language, I'm going to, and so I think that it's relevant to present.
100%. Well, we're still, to me, we're still in a colonial or post-colonial era. Like, that hasn't changed, right? Like, I don't speak any language but English and French, and that's not an accident. It wasn't my choice, right? That was imposed on me in many ways. So,
So I don't know if I've ever told you that story, but maybe you should just.
No, I know that's, and I'm just like, when they say you're now the Browns, I was like, literally and figuratively. You're the Browns.
And I wondered, like, who thought of that? Like, who was, and I do need to go back to my parents and ask, like, who actually made that suggestion? Like, who was that person? So I have my guesses, but I want to know who it was. That is a wonderful quote, and I think that many people will, it will resonate with them. So that is our selection for the letter N, and we will be back again very soon. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys.